Is AI bound to replace film directors? I don't know about you, but that question worries me. I've been working as a film director for the last 20 some years, and the craft that it took me that long to learn seems to be achievable somehow after, entering a few prompts in a AI generative engine like this one. There is no way to stop that wave. And when I say wave, I don't mean a gentle wave that you can surf on. It's basically a tsunami. So can you surf the tsunami? That's the question I'm asking. I've always been a huge proponent as filmmaking as a collaborative art, where every head departments and every crew member and every actors and actresses, everybody brings in their own talent and contributions and sensibilities to the pot that eventually makes a film. Except now with AI, it seems that everything is in the hands of one person. And honestly, that idea, one, depresses me a little bit, and two, scares me, to be perfectly honest. So I'm thinking, I may be actually a bit late already, but I'm thinking that I need to learn to master this tool in order for this tool to not destroy me. How to learn how to use generative AI? Well, first I could go to any kind of website like this one. I could enter a prompt or a picture, a video, whatever, and see the result and go like, wow, that's funny. But the point of this is not going to help me realize the power of that specific tool. What I need is a project. The project I'm talking about is a movie ID called Bloodsuckers. And contrary to what you might think, it's not a story of vampires, it's a story of giant mosquitoes. I want Bloodsuckers to be a mix of them, if you have the reference, and something like Tremor and Jaws and Razorback, this kind of like creature feature. But obviously this kind of movie costs millions to make. So that's why I'm thinking of using AI as the tool to help me make a proof of concept trailer that maybe, who knows, eventually when the thing is done, will allow me to find financing and make the movie the good old-fashioned way. But for now, there is a mountain to climb, and that is to manage to make this proof of concept trailer with a tool that is right there. My computer, an internet connection, and basically my IDs. My main source of information until recently regarding generative AI is a YouTube channel called Theoretically Media with Tim. Hello, your name is Tim. Besides that, I didn't know much about AI. I heard Tim talk about VO and Kling and Sora, but those were all strange names and strange concepts for me. So I started watching more AI channels on YouTube, and I've gathered enough information to know that there is a process to go into this kind of project. And so the first one is to generate some visuals that will eventually help the image to video engines to create the videos that I need. Obviously, because it's for a trailer, I don't need the full movie, I don't need the full script. I just need some beats and some ideas that are either original, funny, cliche. I love cliches, and try to have fun with it. And this is how I started. The first image I created is that of a small town sheriff fighting a mosquito with a medieval sword. Don't ask me why a medieval sword. I don't know, because I haven't written the script yet, but I thought it's a funny idea, so I went for it. And the result was kind of funny, but mostly the problem was that it looked like an illustration. But I moved on and I asked GPT to create 3 mosquitoes attacking a pickup truck, because again, I'm thinking in terms of what the trailer should have, and I'm thinking mosquitoes attacking a pickup truck is something that I need. But the result was that I had the pickup truck going one direction, and the mosquitoes looking the other way, which kind of like negates the whole dynamic of the shot. So I asked GPT to create instead a real view of the scene following the action. And then with the next generation, I had a cool pickup truck on the road with 3 giant mosquitoes following it, and I was happy enough. It made me realize that I could actually generate pictures on GPT that would not look like illustrations. So I went back to my sheriff, but make it look photorealistic. And then photorealistic is the word I used in every generation after this. Another big inspiration for Bloodsuckers is Lake Placid. I absolutely love this movie. And so I thought besides the sheriff, I would need an entomologist, some kind of like a female character that could be more badass than one might think, and also to bring a bit of like charm and maybe some banter, a little bit of romance, who knows, all those kinds of ingredients that you would expect from this kind of horror comedy. This is the first generation, and she seems to be dissecting some kind of like Easter egg, which is not what I want. And also the picture was vertical, so I had the generation again, whereas the picture to be 16:9, cinematic lighting, which is again something that would be found in all of the later generations of pictures. And the next one was better, but again, this like giant kind of egg, but I want mosquito eggs, like an egg sac. So I gave more and more information in terms of the prompt, and eventually I had the character looking exactly the way that I want, with the protective glasses and the egg sac, and the format was not always 16:9, even though I asked for it, but I found eventually a picture that I was happy with. And I know that with Photoshop I can actually AI generate the missing parts of a frame, so this is what I did. I knew that at some point I would want to have the sheriff and the entomologist examining a dead cow that would have been sucked out of its blood by one of those giant mosquitoes. And so I found myself faced with a problem that it seems those generative AI models have a very high threshold in terms of sensitive content. And so anything that is either too violent or too bloody or too gory can be flagged, or actually the generation could be completely cancelled and not happen. So the first cow that it generated was actually, instead of being sucked out of its blood, it's actually skinless for some reason. And the cow is in the back, still skinless, and in some kind of big plate, metal plate, there is a piece of meat, which is again not what I was hoping to find. And the last generation was successful. I asked the cow to be nothing but skin on bones, and eventually GPT understood. And I had a frame that I'm fairly happy with, so I decided to move on from there. But then that dead cow became my nightmare, because I wanted to have a picture of a mosquito going through the tainted glass of a small town church. Again, for the sake of the trailer, I thought that would be a cool visual. But for some reason, GPT kept bringing on the dead cow. For the first generation of the mosquito going through that tainted glass window, I had the entomologist and the dead cow. The next one, still entomologist and dead cow. The third one, no entomologist, still a dead cow. The next one, the mosquito has a very cool angle, very like a face kind of view, but still the dead cow. No matter what I would try after this, the dead cow would always be there. I even managed to crash somehow the image generation on GPT, and after my another try, the dead cow was still there. And this is when I realized that maybe the problem is the dead cow was in that conversation. So I decided to start a new conversation in GPT, asking for the same mosquito going through the tainted glass, and eventually I got what I wanted. At this point, even though I knew I would need more shots, way more shots for the trailer, I thought maybe it's time to see how the video generation works. So I thought, okay, I have enough images for now, and I'm gonna try to get some videos based on this. And this is when I decided to go to OpenArt and take a subscription there. So again, it's not free, way cheaper than regular filmmaking, but not free by any length. And I decided to try to animate that picture of those mosquitoes chasing the truck. The video turned out to be like this, and I think when they fly and the pickup truck goes on the road is working well enough. But then for some reason, when the mosquito attacks the pickup truck, like I asked you, it completely explodes in a flash of light, and there's like a lot of glass debris, way more than the glass in the windows of that pickup truck. So I thought there is something wrong here. But for a first try, this is the very first video that I've created for this project, and I thought, yeah, that's not too bad. So that was not too bad, but I thought for the second generation, I would like to fix that problem of the mosquito exploding. So I went back to GPT to help me kind of like fix this issue in terms of the words in the prompt, which is when I discovered also the very idea of negative prompt. This is a very important one actually. And so I ended up with this clip here. The first one, the mosquito attacks and it kind of like creates more damage than it should, but it was okay. The problem is with the second attack, one mosquito went through the other one, like some kind of like teleport, magically teleport through it, which is weird, but that second attack is kind of really better, and there's a swerve of the car, which is something that I added myself to the prompt, and this is exactly the dynamic that I wanted. So I'm happy enough, and I know as I'm an experienced editor, and I knew that in that 10 seconds clip, I would find 2 or 3 seconds that I could use, so I was happy with this one. For the third generation, I wanted to see how the entomologist dissecting an egg sac, a mosquito egg sac, would look like. And I think I like the way the camera comes in slowly at the beginning, but then when she eventually opens the egg sac, it has this like weird, plasticky, rubbery, very stretchy material that is not exactly what I had in mind. So, as is always the case with AI, after first generation, I did it again. And that's something that happens a lot. You redo those again and again and again, changing little details until eventually you are happy. One important thing is actually those details, people think like the computer does everything, but actually no, you have to really direct it, you have to really guide it to get what you want in the image. So this is my second try here, and the material of the egg sac is not exactly what I had in mind, but I think there's something that I can use here, at least for the trailer. The scalpels don't seem to really cut the sac, but once she opens it somehow, there is something here that I can probably use. At this point, I was not too unhappy with my little journey through AI generation. And then the next sequence happened, namely the sheriff fighting the mosquito with the medieval sword. And that one really put me to the test in terms of hope, patience, sanity. So let me take you through this. This is the first video that I generated. That originally was my 5th generation, but the first for that sequence. And the beginning is weird, and it gets only weirder. The mosquito kind of like jumps up and down like a little playful puppy. And in any case, it's completely ridiculous, completely hilarious, and completely wrong for what I was trying to do. So I thought, okay, maybe the problem is my starting frame. So after generating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pictures of that mosquito and sheriff fighting, I eventually found one that I was like only mildly happy with, like this one. And I started using this for the generation of the video, but the result was always at best disappointing, at worst like completely bonkers. Here are a few generations that I did of the sheriff fighting the mosquito with the medieval sword. This one is probably the lamest, with the mosquito just hovering and the sheriff doesn't do anything. Here, as you can see, the sheriff cuts off the head of the mosquito, then the head is still there. Though the mosquito seems to lose its ability to fly properly, but it just lost a huge amount of dirt for some reason. Obviously not happy with this, so I try to make the frame a bit wider, and here we have another generation with the blade going through the mosquito, but for some reason the mosquito lets out this kind of like power energy ray, which I really don't understand where it comes from. And then another kind of like little golden lightning bolt that kind of reminds me of the Flash. Then we have another generation here. The sheriff like wields a sword beautifully, but then instead of cutting the head of that mosquito, he turns one mosquito into two. I'm thinking that maybe there's part of this clip that I can use until the impact of the sword on the mosquito before we can see two mosquitoes. I really love the power pose of the sheriff at the end, but at this point we have two mosquitoes, so that's really not usable. Finally, I wanted to fix the horizon, but then as a first frame, as you can see, I have the black part of the frame kind of like ruining the whole thing, but that's not the only problem with that generation here, because the sheriff completely misses the mosquito, as you can see, and then slams the sword onto the ground with a kind of like explosion of dirt. And as the camera comes in, the sheriff has an entirely new face, new body, so it was a transformative experience for him, but definitely not for me. Maybe you watching this video are in a different point in your AI journey. So do you have some thoughts, some ideas about what am I doing wrong in terms of trying to get the right motion and movement, and not having the mosquito turn to dirt, or not having one mosquito sliced into two mosquitoes? How are you doing it? If you could share in the comment section down below, I would really appreciate it. I will reply to all the messages and all your ideas and comments. So this is the journey I'm going on. I hope it's interesting to you. I will share with you my results, either good or bad, because I think there's a lot to learn from the bad. And again, I thank you for watching, and don't forget, be the you in YouTube.